Okay.
Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So today I'm super excited to be joined by Dr. Eliab, who is a PhD student, who is a postdoc fellow at the University of the Western Cape. Dr. Eliab, welcome to my YouTube channel.
Hi, Asbu. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to have you today. Although myself I already know you, but our viewers doesn't know you. Can you just please introduce yourself? Tell us who's Dr. Eliab?
Hi everybody. My name is Eliab Malefahlo. I'm from Limpopo, Groblersdal, Afrikop to be more specific, and I'm working at the University of the Western Cape as a postdoctoral fellow.
Okay, great. Yeah, as you were saying, so you're doing postdoc fellow. So as part of this series, we are interviewing people who are in astrophysics. Can you just tell us how did you get to astronomy? Because many people would like to know how did you get to astronomy.
Well, for me, it started way back in primary. I don't know how many years back, but yeah, in grade 5, I think, in natural science, when they were teaching us about the solar system, the planets, the sun. And I remember they said there are 2 types of planets. Back then, there were still 9 planets. So they talked about some planets, I guess. Some planets are rocks, terrestrial, like the one that we are on. And then one of the things I asked myself is like, how, for example, Jupiter is a gas giant. How does it work? If you go onto Jupiter, you fall onto and come out on the other side. So those are the type of questions I was asking myself, and I wanted to learn more. And as we went with the grades, they went to learn more and more, and my interest grew. One of the nice things I also remember is the midnight sun, having the sun go around in circles at the poles. So it doesn't rise or set. It goes around for a few months. So there's no difference between day and night. So those were the things that got me into it, and I was fortunate enough to work hard to get the required marks, God willing. And yeah, that started doing it in my undergrad. Yeah.
Okay, so you did your undergrad at which university?
I did my undergrad at UCT. Back during that time, 10 or so years back, there were, from my knowledge, there were 2 universities that offered astronomy as an undergraduate degree. It was UCT and Potchefstroom. So I went for UCT. That's where I did my undergrad. And along the way, I found out that for me to do astronomy, it's not just a 3-year degree. You have to actually, you have to have at least a master's to do some active work in astronomy. So that was a big shock. I didn't know that at the time.
Okay, so how did you find out about the 2 universities, like where they're offering astronomy? Because I'm sure, like, you're still from high school, you're still young. How did you get to find out about these 2 universities? Did someone tell you that okay, there's actually these universities offering these degrees? I'm sure in those days, like technology was not so advanced like today.
Hey, you're exposing my age, bro. Yeah, no, back in those days, phones were still in the development phase. We did have internet on our phones, but it was not as easily accessed, and it was not easy to access the information. So I actually got the information from prospectus. So I made sure I got my hands on all the different prospectus from all the different universities, and I also asked around. But that didn't help. So I got the information from the prospectus. Yeah.
Okay. Also, you managed to discover, okay, those universities offer these degrees.
Yes. So I was fortunate enough. The school I went to, we went for an open days. So we got to go and get the prospectus for different universities, and the other ones, I think I ordered it. You could order, write a letter or whatever, email. And then you get the application forms for the prospectus. I think that's what I did.
Okay. No, that's very, very interesting. So one thing that one thing people don't know is that you recently finished your PhD, right?
Yes. Yeah. It feels so surreal. Like it's a bit of a journey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you share that experience? How was that? And can you just give us a brief? How was your PhD, and what are the things that you learned and things that you wish you can just take us through about your PhD experience? How was that?
It was a very interesting journey. It was
Yeah.
longer than expected. It took a lot longer than I thought it would take. It was interesting and difficult and challenging, if I could say that. So what I learned from it is first of all, you need to have a structured way of doing things. So in PhD, essentially what you have, you are learning to become an independent researcher. So you need to learn how to manage your own time, how to do that. And I didn't do so well. I didn't do so well. So that's why it took longer than I expected. So the thing that I got from that is managing your time. So have daily goals, and have weekly goals, and have monthly goals, so that if you somehow don't meet your daily goals, you make sure you reach your weekly goals. And the next week, if you didn't meet your weekly goals, you make sure that at least you make your monthly goals. One of the biggest challenges that we have is procrastination.
That one is real.
Yeah, man, that's something else. It's
Yeah.
either in undergrad. In undergrad, you've got a test, you've got an exam, you've got a deadline for an assignment. You do or die. You spend maybe 3-4 nights doing over what do you call it, overnight or whatever they're called. You do that, push yourself to the max for 3 days without sleep. Submit. So when you come to research, masters and PhD, the deadlines are there, but they are they're negotiable in a sense. Because the thing is, what we're doing new things, we're doing research, we're trying to bring new information to the board. So sometimes dealing with questions that no one knows the answers to. So it's hard to put a time limit on something that we don't know.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
that makes the deadlines non-solid. And what I did, I essentially wiggled around. I used that as an excuse to procrastinate, and it became easier and easier and easier not to do work when it's tough. Because when it's tough, when the code doesn't work, when it doesn't make sense, it's hard. When you're thinking about solving that problem, I'd rather go on YouTube and watch some nice videos and learn about all lives matter, Black Lives Matter. That's much more fun. That's more easy. That's the challenge that I came. Those are the challenges that I had. So if I was more structured, if I knew more about arranging myself, having a to-do list, having a partner, an accountability partner, someone who I can converse with about this and make sure that I'm doing my part and he or she is also doing her part. So we just check up on each other, maybe every week, once a week or once every 2 days. Do you do so X, Y, Z? So it becomes easier when we have to account to someone else. Who's not maybe your immediate boss. So it becomes easier. So those are the things that I think are important. Having some structure to your thesis, to your studies, and having some backup from your peers or your family. And also it's important that you also speak to your supervisor and ask them to have a more structured or more weekly format of by reporting every week what you have done. That helps a lot. Having a weekly checkup to see, what are you doing? What are you stuck with? What's happening? So having such things will help reduce procrastination. So if I knew that, if I had such structures, I think I would have been. So I wish, and anyone who's going on this journey, you must please know yourself, know your working days, have deadlines, have your own self deadlines, and have a structured way of working. Look for help if you're struggling. Yeah, those are the things that I wish I knew, and I hope other people going into this get to know.
Okay. Well, that's a very, very good lesson that I guess we all will pick up from it, from your own experience. So one of the things that, so you guys are saying like you just recently finished your PhD. So maybe can you just maybe give us a glimpse of what you were doing for your PhD? Just give us a glimpse of what you were doing. Just get an idea of what you actually you guys do in PhD.
So I would ask not to go into the science part of it. I would focus more on the technique that I worked on. I think it's slightly more interesting. Well, science is interesting as well, but I think the technique is also the biggest thing that we bring into in our research. So essentially, the technique uses data. So when you have got data, there's some data that you throw away because it's not reliable enough, because it has noise and stuff. So most people, when they're doing science, they work with things that are sure, that they know that this data is reliable, and they throw away anything else. So what we do, we take that data that people usually throw away, and we try to do some science with it.
Okay.
We use information that we take from other wavelengths. You know that light has different wavelengths: X-ray, gamma ray, the visible, radio, and stuff. So we take information from other wavelengths and use that to get more information about galaxies that we have identified in other wavelengths. So that essentially that's what we do. We develop this technique that allows us to get more information about these sources that would normally be thrown away.
Okay.
So we're getting more. There's this saying that one man's dust is another man's treasure. One man's trash is another man's treasure. So what people throw away, I take and I give some scientific information. I do some science with that, so that's quite cool.
Okay. Yeah, that's very interesting. I guess we actually need a video to say can guess a separate video. We can teach us more about this thing that you guys are doing. But that sounds very, very interesting. Yeah. So the next question that our viewers would like to know is like we said as we started, you're currently now doing your postdoc fellow, right? So maybe can you just tell our viewers what is a postdoc? What is that you do? What is actual postdoc all about?
All right. So a postdoctoral fellow is a position. It's like an in-between position that you get once you complete your PhD. So essentially, these guys are the engines, the research engines of the university. These guys focus mostly on research. They output research papers and they're the ones who are on the forefront of research. So as I said, our main goal is to do research, but we also do other things like teaching, because you also need some to train yourself to become probably a lecturer one day. So you need some teaching experience. So you do get teaching experience. You also get tutoring and other things. And in this country, postdocs are not seen as workers. So we are actually classified as students. So yeah, you don't pay tax or anything. But yeah, it's just strange in between phase between you becoming an official member of a faculty and you becoming a student. So it's just in between. You're just classified as a student. But that's essentially what we do.
Okay. All right. So as you mentioning, like, okay, that's what postdoc is about. So tell us about the work that you do outside astronomy. Is like when you're not doing astronomy, what are you actually doing when you're not like stuck in research trying to answer like the universe questions, eh? What do you do outside astronomy?
What I do outside astronomy, the first thing that occupies most of my time besides work is church. I'm a very religious person. Most of my time outside research is spent at church. And another thing that I do is I take off these glasses and I go on my bike. I love cycling. I've been cycling I've been cycling from first year. So I've
mm,
been cycling for more than a decade, going to campus with my bike, back and forth. So and then 4 or 5 years back, I started competing in races. So looking more professional, the gears and actual a real bike. So
nice.
that's what the last 4 or 5 years I've been doing that, and
Okay.
also I'm also an amateur drummer. I've been
Mm,
learning drums for
mm, mm, mm,
over the
mm,
years,
mm.
and I've kicked it up a notch. I'm becoming more serious. I'm taking it more seriously. I've got my kid,
Mm.
and if I'm not, if the code is not working, if the science is not making sense, I
Yeah.
will then take out my drum. So yeah, that's mostly what I do
Yeah.
when I'm not working.
Okay, nice, nice. So yeah, it's very interesting that you are able to do all this thing because everyone would think like you're just doing astronomy and nothing else. So just adding to that, you mentioned that you're actually a religious person, right? So there's always like this skeptical
Yes.
about like being a scientist and being a religious person. How do you manage the two? Because there's always like people think they always say like these two things don't go together. There's always a contradiction. Like how are you able to balance the two things?
It's not easy, but for me, I think it's quite straightforward because I think that they focus on two things. Science is mostly focused on the details and the nitty gritty of how you got here, what brings, what does what. So they focus on the processes and on the details of how you go from A to B or from C to D. Whereas in science, whereas in religion, we mostly focus on a simplified version. We don't care all too much about the nitty gritty details. The most important thing is the spirituality of it. That's what we focus on. So to me, it's not much of it's not a contradiction at all because I believe that God created the world, and one way you can explain it is through the Big Bang. So you can explain it that way. But as I said, this one is literal and one specifics and wants all the details. And this one just it's like a story. They're telling you a story. They won't go into the science or the nitty gritty details because they'll lose everyone.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's true.
imagine if the Bible had to explain how from the Big Bang or from the words how the particles traveled at a particular speed, at what point that light actually start. Imagine if how big would so lose the context. So
Yeah,
it's telling a different story,
yeah.
and this one is telling a different. It wants all the details.
The
So this one
details.
is more about yeah. So
Okay.
for me, it does not clash.
Oh, well, that's a very very interesting take that I never thought of. It's yeah, like how do you actually like how the two differ because they like we always like talk about the contradiction, but we don't see the part where like things do complement like you say. Yeah, that's a very interesting way to look at it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So okay, so talking about astronomy. So what's the plan after postdoc? How long is the postdoc and where's the future going with Dr. Eliab?
So Ish, still not used to. Still not used to being called a doctor.
Yeah.
That will take a couple of more years to sink in.
Mm,
So, as I briefly mentioned in my experience in the things that I learned in my PhD, I really struggled a lot towards the end. I struggled to get myself fully organized. So procrastination really did a number on me. I was delayed. My work was really delayed. So at the end, I had so much work to do, and I ran into so many problems. So in during that process, during that hectic time, I it was not nice. I wasn't enjoying it anymore. Um, so one of the reasons that I'm doing this postdoc is to see if I can find myself in science. So the first thing that I knew I need to do is to actually learn the lessons that I got from my PhD about time management and how to work around procrastination and ways of making sure that you are constantly progressing instead of doing everything in one chunk, which is not possible, which is not for research, it doesn't work. So one of the things I noticed that I need to fix that. So right now I'm in a transition of learning good habits, learning, having to-do lists, having an accountability partner. So I've got an accountability partner who I meet,
Okay.
try to meet almost every day, or at least two times a week, and then we just update each other. Did you meet what you wanted to do? What are the
Okay.
changes? So having someone to account to helps as a peer. I mean, a peer-to-peer thing. So I'm working on making sure that I'm doing the science right, so that I can see whether I still want to do this, because I still love it. I still, when I think about the stars, when I think about the processes that go on there, that happens in the sky, it still gives me goosebumps when I listen to some people give their talks about their work. Some of the things still give me goosebumps, but I lost that during the challenges that I went through towards the end of my PhD. So I'm just trying to find myself, and if I find that I still enjoy being doing research, then I'll continue. I'll maybe do another postdoc to just solidify my stand in the scientific world, to make sure I build a brand for Dr. Malefahlo, have a reputation, paper record, so, and then continue with that and go the academic route. But if I find that I can't find myself in science, in the research, active research, then I'll go somewhere else. But one thing for sure is it has to be astronomy related. I love the stars. I love the sky. I love what it brings. What it brings to us, and I would like to help bring more young people into this field. I want to help more people find out about the mysteries of the sky and how. So anything doesn't matter. I'll still be in astronomy. That's still my passion. It's still something that I do love. So those are the two possibilities that I can think of right now. I'm not thinking about going to industry. I'm not there yet. I'm not. Still, my heart's still here. I don't know when one day when I've got a partner, if things will change. But for now, this is. I'll stay within the community.
Okay. Yeah. Speaking of like going to industry, one of the things that people don't realize that in astronomy can actually gain like skills that you can actually take into outside to the industry, because that's a very thing that you mentioned. So can you share about that? Like what kind of skills that people actually get like from doing astronomy, which maybe you can share from experience, what kind of skills that actually acquired that could actually allow you to like maybe if you want to divert into industry?
Well, the first and most important skill that we get, especially as scientists, generally, anyone who has a BSc, they learn problem solving skills. And when you go up to research, you learn how to solve it, more bigger problems, more complex problems. But the most basic thing that we learn as scientists or as people who have a physics degree or science degree is how to solve problems. So we've got this skill that can be applied to any single workplace. So problem solving a problem, having a problem, dissecting that problem into parts, simplifying it, and see if you can solve a simplified version, and then adding the complexities and see if you can solve it with the complexities. So that's the biggest and most marketable skills that we bring to the table. Quantitatively, it's English, solving problems. So that is our biggest thing that we bring, and which can open any door for us. It can open the door into the banking sector. It can into different sectors. Another important skill that we usually have, especially in astronomy, we usually use computers to work with the data that we have, to manipulate it into a format that we can get the information that we need. So most of us are computer literate, and that skill is useful to many different fields. Again, computer science, big data science, a lot of they need these skills, and basic. Those are the basic things that we get away with from astronomy. So yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's a very important, because like many people don't realize that actually there's more to just that looking at the stars and just looking at like science images, looking at through telescopes. Yeah, so that's a very interesting thing to share. Like there's a lot.
Yeah, we are not just working on our observational skills. We're not just getting class. No. Most of most of the things that we do is mostly sit in front of the laptop and work on the data, try to make the data into a form that we can use to extract whatever science we need from it.
Yeah, that's actually true. So let's talk about someone, maybe another student who's looking up to you and say, "Wow, Dr. Eliab made it to this far." I would like also like to take up the similar journey to what Dr. Eliab has taken. What would you say to a student looking up to you as a role model out there?
I'll tell that student to work hard. This journey is it's difficult. It's long. It was longer than I expected, but at least I think now with the information age, I think people have more access to information, and there's more outreach again with astronomy. There are a couple of projects that take students in and teach them about this. So it's a long journey. It's a fulfilling journey. It's an amazing journey when you get to learn more about the universe, get to know more about the beauties of how it works, why it works, and to know the known unknowns, and to know and to find out that the more you learn, it's the more you find out that you don't know anything. So that's one of the conundrums that we run into. The more you go, the higher you go, the more you think you know, the more you read. It's the more questions that you have. It's like, wait, I thought this was this, and then you start questioning many other aspects that you thought were given, but they also actually do need to be researched. It's a long journey. You need to have something driving you. I was driven by passion. You must have something that keeps you strong, because it is a difficult journey. There are challenges, as I explained through the challenges that I faced. There are other challenges as well. So it's something that you have to do with something holding you or keeping this dream alive. But it's possible, and we are fortunate enough to be in an age where there's enough funding. We've got Sarao, we've got SAO. There's many projects. The government sees the importance of science and research. It's supporting the students enough. So you've got the floor is paved for you. You just need to work hard. You just need to work hard and go for it.
Oh wow, that's a very, very good advice, Dr. Eliab. And I think this was a very informative talk, and I think many students are going to learn a lot from it and from what you went through and the experiences and that you've gained. And I would really appreciate your time, and thanks for coming in and sharing your experience, Dr. Eliab.
Thank you for the invite. Thank you.
And we're
looking forward to your interview. A speaker mentioned something along that, so I can't wait to watch you share your experience. It'd be nice.
I'm also looking forward to that. But it's not gonna be anytime soon, eh?
What do you mean?
We still need to learn a lot from you guys who are like, above us. Still need to, so that when I share mine too, I'm like, I'm Dr. Sibusiso, and
but you've also gone a long way. There's a lot of people that look up to you, so they want to know. You should share with those ones what your experience is.
But I just feel like I still need to do more. But I guess you're right. We'll see how that one goes. I could do mine maybe probably the end of the year. But it's we'll see how that goes. But it was very good time to have this time to share with you. And we just want to wish you all the best in the work that you are doing. And
thank you very much. I forgot one thing. I'm sorry, we're almost at the end. Going back to the student, you asked me telling the student about making it. I think it's also important. Supervisor choice, it's very important. Before you choose master's or PhD supervisor, get as much information you can from the previous students to see if you are compatible with that supervisor and their style of supervising. It's very important because you can make or break your work or your research or your career as a researcher. So it's very important.
Okay.
So well, that's for disturbing your outro.
No, that is a good advice. Yeah, I guess we should have discussed that because it's very, when you talk about the supervision, because I think we are right. It's very important, like students to know how to choose supervisors and stuff like that. And thanks for reading that advice. And I guess maybe we could also include that on our next discussion when you can maybe share more about how do you go about it on doing that.
Sure.
Yeah, but otherwise, it's been a very great talk. And we just want to wish you all the best in your postdoc. And and looking forward to the next series to be having a chat with you.
Thank you very much. All the best to you as well.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Eliab.